Hi everyone. In this video, we are going to learn about the web app and some of the basic steps that are required to build that app and also some of the basic things that we should know about this web app so that we can understand it somewhat properly, and also at last we'll see what are the advantages of this web app. And myself, my name is Bharat Surya and I am from second year CSEA. Now, let's start. What is a web app or a web application? A web application is a program that runs on a computer with a web server while its users interact with it via a web browser. Or simply we can say that a web application is a client server software application in which the client runs in a web server. Now, below the matter, we can see a diagram which contains two boxes. First box contains the client machine and something written as a web browser below it. And the second box contains some server machine containing HTTP server. Now, what happens basically in this web app is when a client makes a request, the request is sent to the HTTP server through the web browser through a network. You can see there, right? The web browser and the HTTP server are connected through a network. So the web browser sends the request to the HTTP server and the whole request will be processed in that server machine. Now, what happens in there? We can see in the second box, right? That server machine. Beside the HTTP server, there are four boxes. First one is a file, and the next to it is database. Next is CGI programs, and the next one is servlet engine. Files. It contains some HTML files and CSS files, etc. As we are CSC students, we all know what is HTML. It is basically used to make some web pages. Now, what is CSS files? What are CSS files? CSS files are nothing but some files that are used to improvise the text. I mean, it provides the style for the text that will be written on the web pages through the HTML files. Now, coming to the CGI programs. CGI means Common Gateway Interface. The CGI offers a standard protocol for web servers to execute programs. And those programs will be contained in the database. It means the database contains all the programs that are required to process the request that is sent by the web browser to the HTTP server. So that programs require a standard protocol and that will be provided by CGI programs. And the next one is servlet engine. The programs in the database will process the request that is sent by the web browser and sends the output to servlet engine. The servlet engine sends the output to HTTP server and the server itself sends the output, that is the request of the output to the web browser, and the client can receive the output. This is what happens in a web app basically. You can see the 5 points written below. These are some basic things we should know about the web app. The first one is browser, next DNS, that is the domain name system, next domain, URL, web address. Now, what is a browser? A browser is a software which needs to be installed on a device to use web apps. Some of the common browsers that we use in our today's life are Mozilla, Firefox, Google Chrome, etc. But what is the role of the browser in web app? Actually, it plays very important role in using a web app. When we see how to use a web app, we should first open a browser application, enter the web address, the browser fetches the data, and the browser displays the web page. Browsers makes requests to the servers using URLs and render the response data. Now, as we see below, these are some basic things that browser can display. You can see the first link that appears below the basic thing that browser can display is text. This is a text address. It means the browser can display some text matter, or below it we can see an image address. I mean the address directs the browser to display image, and below one is a HTML address. It means this address will direct the browser to display an HTML web page. Any program that requests the server is called a web client. Now, coming to the URL, it means Uniform Resource Locator. I'll explain about this URL in detail from the below example. You can see below there is an address, right? http colon slash slash www.flipkart.com/book slash pr question mark sid is equals to books, I think bks. Now, every URL contains four paths: protocol, hostname, path, query string. Now, protocol. What is a protocol? It defines the rules of the request between the client and the server. As you can see there, HTTPS colon slash slash. It is the protocol. It means it defines the rules of the request. Now, coming to the next one, host name. Host name is nothing but it identifies the server which will serve the request, or it is also known as domain name. And in this case, in this example, www.flipkart.com is the host name. And the next one is the path. What is the path? Just it shows the way for the browser to enter into the certain information that the client want. And here it is books. And the query string, it is nothing but a more detailed path for the client to go deep through. And here it is SID equals to books. DNS, it is domain name system, links the domain name to the IP address of the server. What is a domain name? It is the name of the web page we can keep, and it is our choice. First, tell me guys, we all know that every web page and web app on the internet have IP address, right? Is it easy to remember a IP address or a name for that web app? Remembering a name is better, right? So we have to name our web app, and naming that web app is not that easy. We should link our domain name to the IP address of the web app, and that is done by DNS, domain name system. And a DNS server is there worldwide spread, and it can link our domain name to the IP address of our server. Web server. A web server can listen to the request and request back with data on the same connection. As you see from the below diagram, the web browser has requested for a page, and the request is sent to the web server, that is a server machine running a web server. And that web server processes the request and sends back the requested page to the web browser and displays it on the monitor. Now, coming to the main point of this topic, how to build a web app. These are the 5 points that are mainly required to build a web app. First one is get a unique domain name. We can choose our domain name on our own choice, but we can't choose a domain name that has been already taken by another web app. It is not possible to take that domain name. So we should choose a unique domain name. So what is the use of choosing a unique domain name? Because it will be not taken by another web app, and people can remember your web app so they can easily reach it. Coming to the second one, set up a computer with an IP address. It means we should have our own computer with a unique IP address which acts as a server. Our own computer acts as a separate server for our web app to run. Coming to the third one, link the domain name with the IP address, and this will be done by the DNS server. Fourth one is writing your application code, and the application code in which language you write, that is your choice. You can write in your own language, I mean computer language. And coming to the fifth one, we should deploy our application code on the server host so that the web app runs on the internet. DNS system or DNS server. Actually, the DNS system is a globally distributed database, and it is maintained by many servers spread over the internet. As you can see from the below diagram, your PC is connected to DNS and it is connected to the whole world. I mean, there are many servers, right? As you can see from the upper matter, it is maintained by many servers spread over the internet. Now, what I have said before, the DNS system links the domain name to the IP addresses. And when you update the domain name to the IP mapping with your registrar, an update begins all over the world, and your domain name will be online worldwide. Now, as I have said before, we can write our application code in the language of our own choice, but The code should follow these four following steps. It should accept a request, it should process the request, it should output the response, and send that response back to the web browser through the web server. Till now, we have learned how a web app works and how to build a web app and what are some basic things we should know about web app. And now, let's see what are the advantages of the web application. Here, the data present in the web app is secure and it is easy to backup if ever it is lost. We can give easy and quick updates to the web app and can reach anybody anywhere in the world and is available 24 by 7. Low spec PCs or smartphones can be used. It means web app can be run on the smartphones or low spec PCs. And the last one is online training can be completed at users' own time and pace. So, through this web app, it can act as a communication between client and the server through all over the world. That is, it is spread all over the world